we've talked about openly our children potentially joining the service. You know that I'm at least entertaining the idea of my son enlisting into the military with some contingents upon Donald Trump's presidency in January. But I've taken him to the Army, taken him to the Marines, taken him. He's visited with the Coast Guard. Haven't made it to the Navy or Air Force just yet. But my point is that for our Army that's struggling in recruiting, they haven't even called him back. None of his recruiters even called him after we walked out of the office. That's astonishing to me.
That's surprising to me too, Kristian. The Army is it's the service that has been hit the hardest by the whole recruiting crisis, if you will. I know technically, if you look right now in the news reports, the Army is claiming that for the first year, they've actually met their enlistment goals. The real story behind that is they finally lowered their goal enough to get it down to where the number could meet it. So in reality, there's still very much a recruiting crisis. So yeah, I'm very much surprised to hear that. I'll tell you, when I was enlisting 20 years ago, it was the Air Force that I couldn't get to call me back. The recruiter that I talked to just seemed like he had way better things to do than talk to someone who was interested in an Air Force career. And so I just assumed they'd met their quota for the month. Meanwhile, the Army was knocking my door down. And so I ended up going with them and stayed with them all 20 years, kind of danced with the one who brung me.
Another thing I've learned through this recruitment process is we've talked about DEI permeating the military, but they've lowered the standards. Like in the Marine Corps, female Marines were not allowed to wear makeup in uniform. They're wearing makeup now, nails polished, And I asked one of the recruiters, I was like, "Are you out of regs right now?" And she was like, "No, they'll let us do that now." They've relaxed the weight standards. I'm frustrated, Chase, because the Marine Corps I served is not the same Marine Corps it is today.
Likewise for me, Kristian, the Army that I joined in 2003 was worlds apart from the Army that I left in 2023. I felt very much a stranger in the force, which, is really disappointing when you're in an organization that you love and that you invested in and they've invested in you. You want to feel a sense of kind of family ownership of the institution and shared values of it, and I certainly did not feel that the last few years. What's interesting to me when it comes to the ever-shifting standards on how we groom ourselves and what we can or cannot wear, we've had all these kind of liberalizations of policy with regards to how women can wear their hair, how women can wear makeup, earrings, all that stuff. The one thing that guys have been able to get in the Army is now we can wear clear nail polish. And I'm not really sure what man was asking for that. Frankly, I would like to see the Army announce that men can wear beards when they are in garrison. There is absolutely no excuse why we are holding to this idea that, a clean-shaven face equals discipline. I can tell you when I look at the pictures of warriors from long ago, up until just the last century, many of them who are ferocious on the battlefield did not have a clean-shaven face. And I think they would take great exception to being told they are undisciplined because of their appearance. That's what I will continue arguing for, that if the Army wants to continue modifying appearance regulations, they need to let men have beards.
Over the course of the last weeks, months, and years, I've had too many people reach out to me and say things like, "Chase, we totally share your convictions, and we wish we could say similar things, but we can't because the risk is just too high." No more. That excuse needs to end. That's why I'm launching an intensive coaching cohort called No Fear November. It'll be 1 month with me. We will identify what's holding you back. We will set a goal, and you will accomplish it. Too many of you are worried about losing the approval of small-minded people who abhor what you believe, and people who most certainly won't be at your funeral. And what you should be worried about is living a life of little meaning, a life that will be entirely forgot when you're gone. There are 10 slots, and once they're taken, they are gone. So it's your choice. You can continue living in fear, or you can do something about it. Let's make November a month in which we leave our fear behind, line our lives up with our convictions, and get into action.